shares, we got the deal. When it comes to couples, they're my hero.
Honey, you hear that? Ronnie just told Bethlehem his hero. Come on, buddy. Every kid wants to dance with his hero.
Okay, this is completely out of context.
All right, I got my own dilemma. You know what? I like Kevin James, but I'm sick of seeing this motherfucker in every film get a fine ass girl. He's a little fat fuck.
That is, I am so sick of that. I mean, he must think he's Fred Flintstone at this point.
If they played him where he was like a rock star or something, or like some super famous popular guy, okay, sure. Mick Jagger can get laid by supermodels. Sure, Kevin James can, but he's not. He's like a mechanic or something.
Hey, delivery truck driver and shit. And I'm just kind of like, come on, man.
Fuck that guy. I've hated him since the first day I saw him on the big silver screen, and I still fucking hate him. I think this guy is useless. I think he's no better. He is no better than a studio musician. He's no better than a product that Disney's fucking dished out.
Co-host used to grab him and go, "Why are you so fat?"
Fuck him. Yeah. The only reason why he has a career is because Chris Farley is dead.
I know.
Period. That is the only reason why he's working.
Chris Farley died, who was going to take his place?
Fucking, I would have had like Carrot Top could have taken his place. I just don't like this guy. I don't like looking at his face. He looks like he's about to explode.
Okay, you know what?
You
know what? Let me tell you, I kind of like Kevin James now because of the way you hate him. It just kind of makes me want to defend him.
Oh yeah,
it makes you feel the same way.
Well, yeah. Well, you know what? You can play Will Smith in that next movie, and you guys can go hang out and be cool together in New York.
Is that the way you are, Corey? You know what I fucking hate? When you just give me money for no reason. I hate that. Pisses me off so bad. God damn. Sucks.
Cyrus, here's like $10, man. I'm sorry.
This is terrible. Why'd you give me this money? Fuck you.
Bullshit.
No, you know what? The only dilemma you should have about the film, The Dilemma, is what else you're going to spend your $9 on rather than going to see The Dilemma. That's the only question.
How are you going to get out of going on a date to see this movie?
And the funny thing is, it's not even a movie for women at all.
No,
I mean, there's marketing it as if it was, but the truth is, it's another one of Vince Vaughn's I want to do films about bad and unhappy relationships, films that have an element of, let's make it a buddy comedy as well.
And he's always the good guy in them too.
Yeah, well, he's usually the single guy who can't quite commit. He's not quite a man child, but he's just a guy. He's just a guy who wants to live in Chicago and watch the Bulls games and do what he wants and not really get into a relationship.
He's Vince Vaughn.
Well, you know what? You save that shit for your diary, all right? and leave movies alone, okay? Because I'm getting tired of these goddamn movies like this. It's just people not minding their own fucking business. That's all these. That's all these movies
it's not
are.
just that. It's people never talking when they're supposed to talk.
This movie is a bad sitcom.
Like we always say, Leon and I repeatedly, our least favorite thing I think in films mutually is when there's absolutely no reason for two characters not to tell each other something, and yet they don't, because if they didn't, there wouldn't be a movie.
Yeah, there's no good reason for it.
Well,
that's what this whole movie centers around.
Well, the other thing is that everyone in this movie is an asshole. Everyone in this movie is a pure asshole.
Except Jennifer Connelly.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
because she's protected by a holy aura of light that is Jennifer Connelly.
But the thing is, which I agree,
makes it even more painful to see her in love with Vince Vaughn.
But she's so not in this movie. It's ridiculous. I mean, even though they tried to make this subplot about her and Vince Vaughn, I mean, the movie's not about that, and you forget about her.
So wait a minute, you tell me. I was about to say, you're talking about how all these people are assholes in this movie. Please, because I didn't see the movie. In fact, I'm not even in the same town as you guys in, which is why I haven't seen some of these films that you've been seeing lately. And I just want to be here.
Is that what it
is? Well, I just want to be here just because I asked you before.
Who was that tall black guy we were hanging out with last night? That wasn't Corey?
Y'all been fucking cheating on me. Maybe, you know what? Maybe that was Will Smith.
All right, so the movie's about these two best friends, Ronnie and Nick.
Well, let me just say before you even start, I came and I asked you. I was like, "How's the
Green
Hornet?" Or afterwards. Okay, I asked you, say, "How was the Green Hornet?" You guys like, man. And then I said, "So how was the Dilemma?" You're like,
"Fuck this movie."
Yeah,
and fuck you for not watching it with us.
Yeah, there was no screening in New York.
I know,
wherever
the hell
no
screenings like on every corner in downtown Manhattan.
I planned this out so I would not have to be around. I saw that trailer and immediately booked a ticket for the other side of the world, so I have to be here to watch
it. Like, I'm in Kosovo. What do you want?
New York has enough sense not to show this goddamn.
I was going to see it, but I was holding coffee. So Ronnie and Nick, let's see if I can get through it this time, are old best friends who date. Well, let's see. Kevin James, Nick. He's married to Winona Ryder, and these two guys they run a car design company, and they're trying to design an electric motor for hot rods for GM.
Yeah, electric motor that makes your car sound and feel like an old Pontiac GTO or something.
But that's neither here nor there. The fact is, they're in these two relationships. Kevin James is married to Winona Ryder, and they have the perfect marriage, and Vince Vaughn he's dating Jennifer Connelly, and they're getting along pretty good, but it's coming up time where he's kind of feeling the pressure, like maybe he should propose, and Winona Ryder, his longtime friend, saying you should. But he's like, man, you guys are just the best. We love double dating with you. And he's out one day, and he catches Winona Ryder making out with Channing Tatum, which is enough to write her off right there for just having bad taste to begin with. But he's like, well, shit, this is my best friend's wife, and she's fucking around. What do I do? And it brings the question.
Mind your own goddamn business.
What do you do?
That's what you do.
I mean, he is your best friend. Do you tell him or don't you?
In a real, I've actually been in that dilemma before.
Sure.
And the truth is, you tell them. I'm sorry, Coach. You don't mind your own business. That's man code. Right there, you tell them.
Okay, Cyrus. But then there's you like to lay it out there simply like that, but the movie also
simpleton.
The fact that like, hey man, screw you. the guy who said kill the messenger. You say something. You're the one who's going to catch the flack.
Sure.
You don't open your mouth until you know the game.
Now what he does, after agonizing over it, he decides to go tell Winona Ryder, look, I saw you, and I'm going to give you a chance to tell him, or I'm going to tell him. She's like, please don't tell him. I'm going to give you a chance. You just don't know everything. This stuff he's been doing too. Well, shit. All right, now it's a little bit muddy, but that's all right. You got to tell him anyway. And then she says, all right, come meet with me. And she says, okay, look, I'm going to tell you this. If you tell him, I'm going to cry and say you made a pass at me, and I'm going to tell him about how we slept together years ago.
Yeah, before.
Now it was before they even met.
So
which was true.
Yeah,
which was true.
Which was true.
Yeah.
So now he's got a real dilemma on like, all right, what do I do?
Dumbass.
Now, to me, I see the answer as being simple. You tell her, all right, you got a point. I won't say anything.
Yeah, shut the fuck up. That's the answer.
But then you immediately go to him and tell him everything she just said. Like, look, you confess, like, yeah, we slept together before we met. Blue, this is what's going on in your life right now.
Did you know how big those audio digital tape recorders are? They're tiny. They're a quarter of the size of a cigarette pack. You should have said, we need to meet again and talk about this. You just record that shit and go, all right, there you go. So
yeah, I mean, there's plenty of ways to get around this. Like, whereas I might have been like, I don't know if I want to tell him because I don't want to be that guy. Yeah. But if at the point where she tried to blackmail me, oh, bitch, it's on.
And Cyrus, have you gone in the store? Have you checked out the retail price of those little microphones you're talking about?
Yeah, they're about $200. But we're talking
we're
talking about your best friend in the world, dude.
Damn,
you're gonna mind your own business.
You better be sucking your dick if you're that good of a
friend.
Dude, for me to spend $200 on, no, fuck that.
You're not getting a birthday present this year.
But I mean, it is the kind of thing where you go like, hey man, my best friend, I got to tell him. But she's like, look, he's fucking other people too. Then you might decide, like, well, perhaps I will stay out of this.
Or we even believe her in the first.
It just gets to a point where just kind of like, this shit just sounds too complicated. I'm going to go home and just mind my own business. I'm going to go home and eat a sandwich. And that's, and that's what I'm going to do with my life. I'm not
And you know what gets worse, though? You know what gets worse, though, with this Vince Vaughn character? Is that he decides to go and snoop on his friend to see if his friend is actually cheating. Right. And he actually follows his friend. He goes undercover. He's calling him up like while his buddy's hanging out at the hot Asian like hand job station, and he sees his friend. He sees his friend like fucking up, and he still decides to pursue this whole project.
That is the thing. It's like, okay, look, there's two ways to go. There's either you tell him or you don't. But it really is a decision. Like maybe just spend a day or two thinking about it. You make a decision, and then you just move on with your life. And especially at the point where you find out what she said was true. You might be like, all right, you know what? This is between two married people. They got a lot of shit to work out. It's best I don't get in there.
Vince Vaughn sounds like he ain't got shit going on in his life.
He's got plenty going on.
Yeah, he doesn't have going on.
Fooled me. Hey, Corey, fooled me.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Just by the description, I'm just kind of like, man, you need a hobby or something. You need to go home and do something.
I don't know, man. You have to remember here in this particular case, it's not like these guys are, hey, we're really great friends. They are best fucking friends. They've been friends since like high school. They are like the type of guys who hug in public in front of large stadiums of people. Right. They're like that level of friends. So this is a pretty big deal to him, to the point where it's tearing his life apart about what to do. The problem is that he's the one guy who doesn't act human in this film. Exactly. And the movie won't work without him acting like a real person. Everybody else, I mean, yeah, yeah, they're not just flawed, they're kind of dicks, but
No,
they're
they
at least
are.
acting
They
like
are
real people probably would act in these situations. He, on the other hand, I mean, it's just one thing after another, one scene after another, where he acts way nobody would ever act in these situations.
Yeah.
He tells huge cover-up, ridiculous, unbelievable lies to his girlfriend that there's absolutely no reason to lie to in this situation.
To where Ron Howard feels like he needs to film these lies to give you some kind of comedy out
actually
of them.
show you what the lies might look like.
It's like student film cutaways of the lies that Vince
Oh,
Vaughn.
do they do the cutaway where he's describing
do.
something?
Yeah.
And they cut, oh, Jesus.
It's like they film. It's filmed like it's like they filmed the lines that these people ad lib throughout the whole movie, and that's where this movie really. I mean, that's where this movie really beats you in the head because they prolong just the inevitable where it's like, you know what, let's just get to the point. But no, they feel like they need to stretch it out and keep stretching it to where you're like, okay, you know, I don't give a shit.
It just
anymore.
goes on.
There's nothing interesting about any of these people, the situation. There's nothing interesting at all about it, and you just want to run the fuck out of it.
Because the real life version of this movie ends when he first confronts her like a normal person would and goes, "Look, I saw this and I had, you know, he's my best friend. I can't let this go. Either you're going to tell him or I do." And she's like, "Look, I promise I will, but there's a whole bunch of shit going on right now with the car thing because they're about to make this huge deal. And as it is, he's pretty much bleeding from the asshole every night. Right. He's so stressed out about it. Like, it's only like, no, I mean, that's what they even say in the movie. And like, there's like a week left. It's like, look, let's just wait for this deal to be done. You know that you don't want this to be fucked up either. You'll have like $500,000 riding on this deal working. So let's go do that. And I promise you, I swear to God, I will do something. And that's the end of the movie right there. You're like a half hour in.
It should be. I mean, I think the premise for it, the dilemma itself is something you could have gotten an interesting movie out of, or a 22-minute episode of the Andy Griffith Show. Either one. But they don't do it. The characters aren't interesting. They don't do anything interesting with it. Nothing. They try so hard to be funny, and there is not one funny line in this entire movie.
There's a lot of comedy diarrhea in this movie.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah. And you got Queen Latifah, who comes in as a character who's on there just to say a bunch of inappropriate stuff, and then she's gone. Only come back later in the film. You're like, oh, I forgot she was in this.
It's her role to come in and say lines like, "Girl," and you better watch that.
No. She's supposed to be like represent the woman who gets what they're talking about. Like the whole like, I get it. I got Ladywood listening to you talk about this car.
I'm one of you. I'm a visionary. I'm a maverick. I'm a gunslinger just like you. And this idea of yours, this vision, I'm inspired by what y'all throwing down. I got some serious Ladywood here. I want to have sex with your words. I want to bang your brain. Oh, I gotta go. I'm late for Mommy and me. I'll call you.
And then to deliver the important crux of the situation when everything has to speed up, they're like, oh, guess what? I'm not supposed to tell you this, but there's a competitor coming in, so y'all only have 3 days now. So it's like you got to set a time limit on it all of a sudden to get this movie towards its end that we all want to get to, and quicker the better.
Quicker the better, no kidding. I think the movie wasn't even that long, but it felt like it was.
Oh, my God.
I mean, it felt like it was an eternity in that theater.
It's 118 minutes of goddamn dilemma.
Was it 118
of nothing.
minutes?
A lot of
nothing. I mean, it's another movie where, you know, Vince Vaughn, he loves Chicago, and it's another Chicago travelogue where a lot of times they're just showing you scenes of Chicago that just like, okay, what that doesn't play into this at all. There's a hockey thing, a hockey subplot that doesn't play into this. They bring Channing Tatum in for some stuff that could have been interesting or fun. It's like, for a moment, it's like, okay, they're doing something with this, but they eventually they fucked that up too. They dropped the ball.
Well,
it just drops the ball all over.
The worst thing is that there's no chemistry between anybody.
Yeah. And there's, you know what? It's like I don't even think that is the worst thing. The worst thing is here's a film that actually has the balls to show characters doing things you never see in these type of films, but that real people would actually do. The other characters, that these people, they do actually have depth. They do seem like real people, but you hate watching it. It's agonizing to watch it go through the motions of this plot. I mean, real characters or not, that makes it almost worse because you're like, these look like people that are interesting enough that if they were doing something fun, I might enjoy watching them.
You know, this seems like when I was watching the trailer for this, before I promptly left town after watching it, I was thinking, you know, I saw Ron Howard's name on there. And I immediately got nervous, and not because I think Ron Howard is a bad director. I don't. Now he's had some, to quote the great Leon over here before we even start recording. Leon said, "Well, Ron Howard can fuck up too sometimes, and we've seen him do it. I don't I don't like The Grinch, even though it was a big hit for him. So even
terrible
that's
movie.
debatable. But this seems like that kind of movie. Well, yeah, no, this seems like that kind of movie where you get like a director like Ron Howard, who has done years of heavy films, serious films, or if he's done something lighthearted, it's been like just a really goofy family film. But now he's trying to do like a comedy of this type. And I've seen directors before who have, after doing very heavy movies, try to do a comedy, a lighthearted comedy like this, and they just don't seem to have the chops to do it.
Yeah, even Rob Reiner had that period where it was like, okay, you were trying to do something else for a while, and then you came back to comedy and fell flat on your face. Yeah. I mean, listen, Ron Howard's last comedy was Ed TV.
Oh, was it?
That
really?
was a long time ago,
Yeah,
and that was pretty mediocre as
it
it was. I mean, I know obviously he's capable of doing comedy, but I'm not even sure this film is really supposed to be a comedy. I mean, it's so dark.
It's supposed to be a comedy with depth, so that we can laugh but learn something. And like Vince Vaughn's supposed to work his magic and do his improv. I've been hearing everybody in the cast talk about how it was to work with him improv. His improv in this is terrible. Yeah. He's like a really shithouse, half-ass Bill Murray half the time, and none of it's clicking. Look, usually, like, he can do these kind of things, and I'm entertained, and none of this. Not a single part of it was working.
The only comedy you're going to get out of this movie is to see how Ron Howard manages to put his brother Clint Howard in another one of his goddamn films. That is it. That's
even
the only
Clint
comedy
Howard
you're getting.
is looking at the camera going, I know.
Clint Howard's going, I'm getting too old for this shit.
Payment,
really?
I
Because he
think
really
Howard's
is.
acting is getting better.
I think Clint Howard is looking at the camera and saying, "I know I look like Chaka from Land of the Lost."
No, dude, he's looking like Gollum every time he pops every time he pops in the scene. He manages to hop away.
Yeah.
You know,
No, he's
never to be
the
seen
portrait
again.
of Dorian Gray for Ron Howard, probably.
But I tell you, but after watching this movie, though, I was seriously thinking, you know what? Ron Howard needs to retire. He needs to at least retire or take a break, something, because I think this guy's track record is getting worse and worse.
I don't know. What was his last movie?
I'm looking.
I think it was the Angels and Demons.
It was Angels and Demons, which was what he did. Frost Nixon.
Oh, that's what I thought. I knew there was something of his that I loved.
He did do Frost Nixon.
Cinderella Man.
Yeah, he did. No, he's done. I remember Cinderella Man, A Beautiful Mind. I mean, he's done. Man, look, he's done. Ron Howard's done a lot of movies that
he's like.
I'll give him Frost Nixon. I'll give him Frost.
Well, I just look at with a movie of this type. I'm looking at. I'm just looking at the trailer, and I can already tell like this looks like this could either be surprisingly good or a really bad misstep for a director like Ron Howard, and directors do it all the time. Look, Francis Ford Coppola did it with Jack. I mean, we can go on with names.
Francis Ford Coppola did it for the last 20 years.
Yeah. He's trying to be nice now. Okay, come on.
Well, then you know what? Maybe Vince Vaughn should retire because that guy is looking like hammered shit every time I
gotta
see
say,
him.
man, I got the impression like they cast Kevin James just to make Vince Vaughn not look fat.
Where Jon Favreau's like, I got my own career now, dude.
No,
Sorry.
Yeah, it was hilarious seeing those two. There's a scene where those two are in business suits together on the screen, and it's just like two fat guys who could barely fit in their suits.
Their two bellies are going to bump together.
They're so bloated, and both their skin and their necks is hanging over their suit.
It looked
that's
like
what I'm talking about.
It looked like a commercial for the Big and Tall store or something. I'm like, man, golly, come on, Vince Vaughn.
I know, man. Go back and look at Swingers. I can't look at that anymore. I'm sorry.
That's what I'm talking about. These dudes are coming out looking like goddamn goblins, and then they got the finest wives in the world.
Oh, it's frustrating. Like in the very first scene they pop on, you see the two of them, and you see their girls. You're like, this is some bullshit.
They have to be so rich. There's just no other way.
And I wouldn't mind if they gave them like women that were kind of, just a little lower on the beauty scale. I mean, come on, it's fucking hot wives for these two guys. At least give me one guy that's like a Brad Pitt or a Denzel Washington, not two motherfuckers like this.
You know what? The next movie they do, I hope to God the girlfriends are played by Mila Kunis and fucking Megan Fox. All right, I want to see that movie. Anything is possible in the land of make believe.
Younger and hotter.
I tell you what,
I'm
though.
thinking maybe I should just move to Chicago. Is what I'm starting to think.
Well, I tell you what, though, Winona Ryder has become hotter to me with age. I mean, because the older she gets, the nuttier she looks, and for some reason
she's got crazy eyes.
Oh,
Too.
damn, man! Oh, she looks great, man. When I saw her in Black Swan, where she played that character that was like a little bit too old to do ballet dancing, and she knew it, and she went crazy. I found that extremely sexy. We always talk about
don't worry, because she's playing the same character in this movie.
It's sexy because we all know that a girl, no matter how good looking she is, when she's gone that far over the deep end, you got a shot.
When I heard that she was
way worse stuff to herself than have you come inside.
Yeah, man. You know what? When I heard she was a kleptomaniac, she just went up on the.
That's what keeps her young.
Yeah, stealing shit. She
got to show up at her house wearing a cop's uniform. Well, maybe there's something I can do to get you out of these charges.
Some sorcerer must have put a spell on her or something. The more you steal, the hotter you'll get.
You're right there. She is. The crazier she gets in real life, and the crazier the parts in the movies, the more I'm like, damn, she just keeps getting better looking. It's more accessible.
Yeah, she's getting like dark circles under her eyes and everything. I think she's growing horns and shit. I'm finding it very attractive. So,
and you know, I actually thought she was a good actress in this movie.
She was good.
Yeah.
She had to stay away from the shadow of Jennifer Connelly, though, because it would burn her. She got here. It's just too hot.
But I mean, she actually gets very real and does something that's like, you know, she probably has the most assholish moment, but it's very real. It's like, man, you know that people who would do.
I can tell you
she
from
was
personal experience that is completely real.
You know what? Is there anything good in this movie? I mean, you got something how much you hate
the credits.
Like
the credits.
What I just said about Winona Ryder is really about it.
Well, you know, it's like I said, I liked that it was trying to be about real people.
Sure.
Where it fucks up is that Vince Vaughn, who is the centerpiece of the film, is so not a real person. I like that it tries to take turns that are, you know, unusual for this sort of thing, that aren't, you know, by the book for these
sure.
type of films, but it fucks it up every time it does. I mean, I give it points only because it was trying to do something a little different, but damn. Wow, it's so not fun to watch. I mean, it is literally agonizing. It's like pulling teeth watching these people go through these motions.
Sorry. There is do or not do. There is no try.
Well, I'm glad this movie actually gave me some time to think about things I need to take care of, you know, in my personal life besides watching this fucking movie. Because I swear to God, I was like trying to tune out of this film the whole time. But the things that were happening during this film were so stupid to me that I couldn't help but pay attention to it and just go.
Well, what would you give it then?
Me, I'd give it a big fuck you, honestly.
Wow.
Yeah, I was really that annoyed. Yeah, I was really that annoyed with it. I was annoyed with the situations. I was annoyed with these so-called friends. And that Paul Blart guy, he just annoys the fuck out of me. He tries so fucking hard to be funny, but he's not.
It's weird.
He never will be.
It's weird because I feel like he wasn't even. I mean, he's in it a lot, of course, but because of Vince Vaughn eating up so much of the screen, Kevin James isn't on there enough to annoy me. I mean, he was annoying the little time he's on.
Yes,
wasn't that
he
bad.
was. Yeah.
But you know, man, it's just hard to sit through 2 hours of a comedy that's just never funny at all. And like Cyrus says, you know, the situation that what they set up had all the potential to be interesting, and maybe had a brief moment with, you know, from Winona Ryder, but it was completely sabotaged, and it just was more frustrating than anything. Dan Kokos, I wasn't like thinking fuck you, but definitely some old bullshit.
Yeah, this, you know, when people use the expression the mechanics of the plot, it's usually not meant in a nice way. It means the plot is pretty obviously mechanical, and that's really what's going on here. It does things, it has characters behave certain ways at times only because the story needs to get where it needs to get, and it's so obvious. I mean, there's points, like especially at the ending and the way Kevin James behaves towards the end, you're like, wait, what? None of that makes any sense at all. It doesn't follow, considering. I mean, do you assume the audience has fallen asleep by this point? So we're not even caring or noticing what happens? No, it is some old bullshit, no question about it. I mean, like you said, try, do or do not. There is no try, and they, you know, that doesn't give them. You're right, that doesn't give them bonus points because this is painful and may very well go on my worst of the year. We'll have to see how the rest of.
And that doesn't deserve a fuck you, really?
Well, we got to see. We want to save it. See how the rest of the
year.
Well,
he has to decide now. He can't go change his review.
I only get 3 fuck yous. That's all Corey lets me have. I don't want to hand them out casually. You know?
It's still January. You can't hand those out too much. And you know, I'm glad I was not in the theater with you guys because it sounded like you all had bleeding asses after it was done with.
Fucked us in the ass. It's true.
You know, it's one of those where not where you sit there like squirming a bunch, but where you're just kind of like going.
Hey, I was fucking squirming.
I was
squirming hard.
Totally squirming.
Yeah.
I wanted out of that theater. So
I was hoping to God my asshole was bleeding so I can run out of the theater and manage to take care of something.
Wow. Now there's something the fans are going to sample. I was hoping to God my asshole was bleeding.
so I could run out and take care of something. By the way, I like the way you don't say like it's your asshole that you would take care of. It's like I just hope my asshole was bleeding so I could go buy milk.
Yeah, his concern is not to fix his bleeding asshole. It's to go, I don't know.
Just to not mess up the seat at the movie theater.
If women have a certain month to bleed and they're okay, I think I'll be just fine.
Whenever you watch
whenever he's watching a Vince Vaughn film. Oh, there it goes. Gotta leave.
Better get some tampons. I'm watching a Vince Vaughn movie.
His asshole's bleeding again because of that.
I'm going to tell your husband he's married to Helen Keller.
Helen Keller?
Yeah, the girl with all the personalities.
Sybil.